Welcome back to Focus on Africa. Let's head over to Seychelles now, where voters will be heading back to the polls after no candidate secured an outright majority in the first round of the presidential election. Incumbent President Wavel Ramkalawan will face a runoff against Patrick Hamini in what's shaping up to be a highly competitive race. Adding to the tension, a small, barely inhabited island in the Western Indian Ocean has been thrust into the center of the campaign. Assumption Island, lying just a few kilometers from the UNESCO-protected Aladabra Atoll, has become a flashpoint for environmental campaigners worried about its proposed development as a luxury resort for Qatar's royal family. Those concerns and fears over ceding control of land to foreign interests have turned the island into a key electoral issue as voters in Africa's smallest country choose both a president and parliament. Observers say the first round was largely free and fair, though concerns remain over the campaign financing, media coverage, and a lower voter turnout than in past polls. So what does this all mean for the country's future? Well, earlier on, I spoke to a freelance journalist, Patrick Moyhead.
The two leading candidates, quite defiant, both of them. For supporters of President Wavel Ramkalawan, a feeling of a little deflation and disappointment that he didn't instantly win at the first round. For supporters of Dr. Patrick Hamini, the opposition leader, I think his support feels emboldened that they see a real chance of him becoming the president. Neither of these two men managed to get 50% of the votes in the first round, and that's what they needed in order to have an outright win. So we go to a second round late next week.
Are people surprised that the opposition candidate Hamini got slightly more votes than the incumbent?
Surprised? Possibly not. I think many felt that this was coming, that there has been some disappointment with the government here, despite the extraordinarily nimble handling of the economy, for example. There's still a great deal of concern in the public about corruption in public services and also with the country's notorious heroin problem. 10% of the working age population are addicted to narcotics.
There's this particular island known as Assumption Island. Why has it become a key talking point in this year's election?
This is an issue that is both about sovereignty, but it's also about the environment. Strategically important placing of Assumption, very close to the busy commercial shipping lanes that run from the Far East down the east coast of Africa. That's one factor, but the other is its proximity to Aldabra Atoll, which is a UNESCO-listed World Heritage Site of immense value to its biodiversity, and it's something that Seychelles jealously protect. But a big construction project for the Qatari government, the royal family in Qatar, is underway on Assumption Island, and that's become very controversial. However, President Wavel Ramkalawan is defiant.
This is a hotel on the island of Assumption that the Qataris are building. What's wrong with it? We have all those Hilton hotels, and we've got to look for investment in order for us to survive. But it looks as if when we, as a small nation in the middle of the Indian Ocean, when we look for Arab investment, it's a problem. Our policy is clear. The sovereignty of Seychelles is to be respected at all times. We will never, at least under my watch, there will never be a foreign military base in Seychelles.
So, Patrick, could this island's fate decide the country's next president?
Well, strangely, it could, in a sense, because it seems to have emerged in recent days as a really very sensitive electoral touchpoint. Seychelles have a great sense of their nation and of their obligation to protect nature. So for many people, this is a very motivating factor, maybe even more so than economic factors, social factors, education, or even health.
Now, with the rerun slated to be held next weekend, what are some of the key issues that both leaders would like to address if elected into office?
Well, they're both saying that they will continue the crackdown on corruption that's been ongoing for quite some time and the fight against hard drugs. Enormous number of people here are afflicted by drug addiction, about 10% of the working age population. So those are two particularly significant areas that both men are promising to work on. Ram Kalawan is more about free market. He's more about smaller government. Emini is more about welfare and more government control. He's promising to reduce the retirement age to 63, cut bus fares by 40%, and increase social security payments. The question for many is, how will he pay for it?